Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to the city of Leeds, and for the first time in a while I've got the camera freehold here because I want to show you something, a cracking landmark which I think sums this place up. Look at this. 2,000 plus years Anglo Scottish. Hold on a second because there's a break in it past a very nice milestone. I'll talk a bit about that later in the video. Trade route. 2,000 plus years Anglo-Scottish trade route, otherwise known as the Great North Road, which is this road right here, and here you'll find that in Mickelfield. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Mickelfield is a village and civil parish in the east of Leeds, West Yorkshire, and shares borders with the district of Selby in North Yorkshire, as well as 5 other Leeds parishes. The population as of the 2011 census was 1,893, an increase from 1,852 in 2001. As we walk around, you'll quickly get the impression the population is set to rise even more. There's been lots of new builds in Mickelfield in recent years, and given it stands on a railway line and has its own railway station, it's a very desirable location. So my route around Mickelfield crosses this railway line. I better scoot across it quickly here because I've already seen quite a few trains come past. I know it's a busy line, so I won't be doing any filming while I'm walking across it. Mickelfield is a village of 2 halves linked by the old Great North Road. The northerly part of the village is sometimes referred to as Old Mickelfield. It has fewer visible ties to the village's industrial past and contains most of the village amenities. The southern part is known as New Mickelfield, and its largest landmark is the railway station. Well, it seems like Mickelfield has been one that's been hotly anticipated. I've already met a couple of people who've recognised me. To be fair, I am quite distinctive wearing this, aren't I? So, you know, I kind of stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah, but people have been waiting for Mickelfield, so yeah, here it is, guys. In recent years, Old Mickelfield has seen new developments of higher-end detached and semi-detached properties, including the Grange Farm development on the Great North Road. Housing in general consists mainly of late 19th century and early 20th century terraced cottages built for miners, although there are some larger pre-war semi-detached houses as well. That's interesting. Public footpath, new path. That tells me there was an old path at some point then, surely, if this is a new path. The name Mickelfield is derived from Old English and it means Great Field. It's listed in a royal charter of 963 AD, which makes it one of a very special set of Yorkshire townships. That's because, due to that fact, it has a recorded history older than that of the Domesday Survey in 1086. It's believed to have been settled as early as 620 AD. Prior to this, it lay in the Kingdom of Elmet. Crop marks in the area, the proximity of a Roman road, and earthworks at nearby Castle Hills suggest it might have been here in Romano-British times. The main road through the village was an ancient north-south trade route. The main road regained its importance during the Tudor Era and became the Great North Road turnpike in 1741. The village's only pub, which we'll see in a while, honours the Bland's family, who were lords of the manor from 1600 to the 1920s and sole landowners in Mickelfield from 1750 to 1830. This is an area of Leeds that's been the site of coal mining since the 13th century. In 1835 and 1836, Mickelfield colliery was sunk. A second colliery, Peckfield, was sunk between 1872 and 1875. Owing to it being one of the nearest collieries to the new Selby coalfield, the Peckfield workforce was amongst the first to have the offer of relocation to Selby on the pit's closure in 1980. The Peckfield site remained open for the washing of coal from nearby Ledston Lock until the end of 1983. The site is now a landfill. In the first half of the 20th century, two seams of coal were worked. The first was the Beeston seam at between 170 and 180 yards deep, and the second was the Blackbed seam at 210 to 220 yards deep. The pit was served by a 2'6" gauge rail link which transported coal from Ledston Lock to the south, from where the coal could be shipped via the mainline rail. Okay, they're a little far away, but you can see some wind turbines in the distance there. This is about the clearest shot so far on my walk around that I've got of them. They're quite cool. With mining now gone, Hookmoor Wind Farm is the newest site of industry in Mickelfield. You can see the wind turbines from pretty much anywhere in the village. Village opinion on the wind farm was divided, with some old Mickelfield residents complaining about the siting of them, whilst new Mickelfielders supported them. Construction of the wind farm began in 2015 and it came online the following year with a total of 5 turbines with electricity production capacity of 10 megawatts. Time for the demographics section today, and bear in mind with all the new houses that are going up in the village, this will soon change. As always, the latest data is from 2011. Mickelfield covers 7.1 square kilometres. That gives it a population density of 250.7, which for a village of this size is considered reasonably high. 58.5% of the population are of working age, 21.9% are children, and there's not many over 65s in this place comparatively speaking, at 19.5%. The number of white British citizens here is pretty high. 97.3% of the village identify as such, the largest of the minorities here being Asian. The average price for a property in this part of West Yorkshire isn't as much as you might think. It comes in at £231,000. There are 2 buses that serve the village according to the Bus Times website. These are the 164 between Leeds and Selby and the 175 between Wakefield and Castleford. Mickelfield railway station is located approximately midway between Leeds to the west and York and Selby to the east. In June 2006, it won the award for Best Kept Railway Station in all of Yorkshire. That followed a huge refurbishment of the station. In April 2017, work was undertaken in Mickelfield to realign the track as part of the Trans-Pennine Route upgrade, and as a result the position of the existing Leeds-bound platform was altered. Mickelfield Station was originally opened by the Leeds and Selby Railway in 1834. The station in use today is not the original, although the older station house still stands. The rest of the buildings were demolished in the 1970s and there are now only basic waiting shelters on each platform. Check out this bridge over the road though. I found 2 village shops on my walk around. Here's the first. This is D&P Churchville Stores in Old Mickelfield on the Churchville estate. There's a second one too, Central Stores, and this one's located in New Mickelfield, just a stone's throw from the railway station. Now you guys know I love a good curry. This building is Bengal Cottage, which is a Bangladeshi and Indian fusion takeaway. Free delivery, £12 and over according to their website. The sports field is known as Mickey Rec, which contains a football pitch, cricket pitch and 2 bowling greens. It was owned and operated by the Coal Board before the pit closure in 1980. Mickelfield AFC play their home fixtures here. There's a small covered terrace stand with some graffiti. Now this usually divides opinion. Is this artwork or vandalism? The recreation ground contains a skate park built in 2009, and in late 2016 fundraising was undertaken for a multi-use games area located on the disused village bowling green. Here that is. It should be noted that despite having a cricket pitch, Mickelfield do not have a team, but teams from Kippax and Aberford sometimes use it. There's also a second playground close to Mickelfield Quarry, something we'll talk about when we hit the landmarks section in a few moments. Mickelfield has had 3 primary schools, one of them burnt down in the late 1970s. There was also a period when Mickelfield had no school. During this period, the current school was built, at first using porter cabins on the site of the old school, which had burnt down until 1987, when it was relocated to the middle of the village. The village has a communal building in the form of a youth centre. This is in fact the old fire station, here since at least 1958. It was part of Division 1 of the West Riding Fire Service. Mickellefield's church is dedicated to St Mary the Virgin. This is one of the 5 churches that make up the Sherborne in Elmet group of parishes. The others are All Saints Church at Saxton, All Saints at Sherborne, St Ricarius at Aberford, and Holy Trinity at Barkston Ash. The churchyard contains a memorial to the victims of the Peckfield colliery disaster. It's just one of a number of memorials around the village relating to the mining history of Mickelfield. The Bland's Arms was an overnight stop for Scots cattle drovers taking their stock to market in London. The Scotsman building where they rested still stands at the rear of the pub. And in terms of healthcare, Mickelfield has you covered as well. There's a surgery on the Churchville housing estate in Old Mickelfield, right next to the shop. Mickelfield's war memorial is in the churchyard. This is a wooden cavalry flanked by stone tablets, including 2 that seem to have come from elsewhere and have been placed later. There are numerous mining memorials in Mickelfield. Most of them mention the Peckfield colliery disaster, which occurred in 1896. It claimed the lives of 63 of the 300 workers in the pit. 20 died from the explosion, the rest from afterdamp. Only 4 of the 23 pit ponies survived the disaster too. 90 children were rendered fatherless in the disaster, and plaques in the village school, church and pub are dedicated to their loss. Let's not forget Mickelfield's agricultural heritage too. This hand-drawn plough was donated by ex-ploughman Stanley Smallwood and stands on the Great North Road. Here's a small industrial estate located close to the site of the former Peckfield colliery. The major clue as to its coal-related past is the name of the street, Pit Lane. So this is the Garden Village estate, which is almost a village within a village. It's built in typical model village style. These are properties that would have housed pit workers. Through the 1970s and 1980s, Mickelfield sometimes earned itself a poor reputation locally as a result of crime on the Garden Village. Nowadays, with the ongoing village regeneration, the Garden Village seems a much better place to live. The building you can see in this shot here has a sign above the entrance reading Flats 1 to 6 Garden Stores. This would have been the shop that served the area. At the south of the village is Micklefield MX, a motocross track. In fact, there are 2, with their kids track regarded as the best in the area. The tracks are located on the other side of the A1 and they're behind this hill you can see between the village and the road. We have to talk a little bit about the Great North Road. The main road through the village is the former route of the Great North Road, and it's still called that. The Mickelfield bypass around the village opened in 1960. It's since been replaced by the A1M, the stretch opening in 2005. Another notable road close by is the A656 Roman Ridge Road. This milestone on the Great North Road has to be one of the best preserved I've ever seen. Aberford, Ferrybridge, Boroughbridge, Wetherby and Doncaster are all mentioned on it. This building is the Hicks Memorial School. Now, despite my best efforts, I couldn't find who or what the name Hicks is a reference to. Regardless, this is now a private property. All around Mickelfield at this time of year, you'll find these fabulous floral displays courtesy of Mickelfield in Bloom. It's very proud of itself, this place. This is Mickelfield Quarry, which is a designated site of special scientific interest. The notice says that limestone here was formed 255 million years ago. You might recall in the South Emsall episode of Wakefield how that area of Yorkshire used to be a shallow tropical sea. It seems that area also extended this far north too. And to finish with, I thought these large wooden mushrooms and toadstools on a path leading away from Mickey Wreck were really cute. Alright, I'm pretty much all the way around Mickelfield, which means you guys need a picture bit coming your way right now. Okay, so believe it or not, it took me an hour and a half to walk around Mickelfield. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was, and of course it's only going to get bigger. I've also got another mining memorial here at the southern end of the village. Have a look at this. There you go. Not as big as the other one, but has the same message, of course. There we are. It's interesting. Somebody who watched the Aberford episode commented on that video and said that Aberford was basically Upper Mickelfield. I'm not quite sure why. They don't really seem to have any great connection. Maybe you Mickelfield locals can confirm or deny that either way, whether there is a connection between the two. Either way, I'm off to my next one here in Leeds, which is much bigger than either Aberford or Mickelfield, and it will complete the southeast of the city. Time for me to move on to that right now. This has been the Parish of Mickelfield, and I've been Andy, otherwise known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.